I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. You can tell I'm old, right? Like, I mean, at some point you just have to like accept it that you're just, like all this technology is like overwhelming for someone who just like knew the basics. I think you guys should be able to hear me now. Put a one in the chat if you guys can hear me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Keiko just messaged me. Yeah, I know. If you guys can hear me, let me know. This is going to be an interesting live, but I don't want to go on until you can still be on Clubhouse. Oh, so you guys were also, okay. You were also on Clubhouse because I was thinking about going live on Clubhouse. It's such a pain in the butt. So I'm just like, I just said, forget it. I'm just going to do it here. I'm just going to do it here. And it's just going to be what it is. So welcome to the chat. Make sure that you share. And if you want to come and talk to me on live while I'm doing it, just let me know. I'm actually gonna put no, just only I'm gonna put the link in. I'm gonna put a link in the chat if you want to join. But before I do, so let me just tell you guys the premise of this. I don't know what made me decide to do this. I really don't. I don't know what made me decide to to put this into Chat GPT. But anyway, I did. And I'm gonna share the screen with you in a minute so you guys can see what it came up with because it was so freaking accurate what actually was happening during that time. I also want to say this because I know some people are going to be a little bit thinking that I'm talking about them. This isn't anything in particular of me singling anybody out. So I want you guys to know sincerely, this isn't about singling any one particular content creator out because it's just caught fire. It's really just all of it. And I think I've made myself pretty clear about the road in which it's gone and how I think that it does disrespect and disservice to the original people. And I'm not even an original person. I came in right at the beginning stages, maybe a year or so later, but I was affiliated enough and influential enough where I knew these people personally, interacted with them, and you guys, what you're getting on YouTube is so not what they meant for it to be. That's what we're seeing now. And just kind of a quick summary, the highlights of divestment these days is just get any old white guy. All black men, hashtag all black men. I know I called them grapes a couple days ago. I'm sorry. Apes and gorillas and bullet bags and all that stuff that people use to describe black men. And it just has become this excuse to be angry and hate black men. And that's not what it's about. People have even accused me of being like the mother of all of this. And I wasn't even one of the founding members. I came in again to the group around 2010, and they started blogging about this stuff in 2009. So, oh, hold on a second. Oh, hi, Tony. I see you. Hi. Before I get started, though, I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think divestment is about? Like in the chat. Like if you could just give me a summary of what you think it is based on what you see online right now. Not what you've heard from me, but I want to know what you guys think it is. Mona Lisa says the divestment definition was becoming embarrassing, to say the least. Yeah, yeah. But I'm really curious about what you guys think divestment is in the current climate. That's not hopeful. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's just like, it's just become this place of just really being about staying angry, kind of being hateful, focusing on the men you say you want to leave behind. The irony of this, and I keep saying this, the irony of how I see it going in social media is that this group of women who were once obsessed with Black men and how wonderful they thought they were got disillusioned and then flipped that emotion to hating them, and the focus, whether it's love or whether it's hate, is still on them. How crazy is that? Like, how crazy is it that the group of men that you used to love, now you hate and you're obsessed, you're still obsessed with them. You're still inextricably connected to them. You want to stay connected, chasing them around, telling them how horrible they are. That's not what divestment was about, but let me see what you guys wrote. Somebody said, leveling up and dating guys on your level. That's what Skylove says. Leaving behind a community that no longer serves you. Yes. Beloved, dating and marrying white men. I know that's what a lot of people think. It's dating anyone that isn't a Black man and worshiping non-Black men in the same way they did Black men as well. Dating white men online, but from you leaving what doesn't serve you. Divestment in what vein? Well, bird vesters, as a certain creator calls them, seem to be Black women who yell and scream about how horrible Black men are and may also mindlessly uplift non-Black men. Also a lot of cursing. Yeah, there's a lot of cursing. Calling other Black women mammies. I guess that's what I am too. Whatever. I don't care. Soulspiration says, to me, it's living life on your own terms and not subscribing to a groupthink. KN says, my personal thought is letting the best man win, not dating beneath your station and not centering men, but doing what's best for yourself. So my understanding of divestment is to break apart was used to be together. I don't know, Tony. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but maybe just sit back and listen and you'll find out what it means. So there's some elements to letting go of things that no longer serve you, feeling more free to date who you want, but it's still ChatGPT gave a better answer, and I'm going to give it to you guys in a second. And I'm going to encourage you guys to put in the same question in ChatGPT that I did so you could follow along. But before I do that, I want to show you guys something. So you guys know I'm also the creator of Watered Body Care. This video was sponsored by Watered Body Care. And so this is a naked shoulder. It's completely naked because it does not have my body serum Drizzle on it. So Drizzle is part of the once a week ritual that you can use every day, which I use every day. There's enough to do your once a week ritual, and it's enough to use every day on your body for the month that you have the entire supply. But I wanted to show you an hour ago, I did this shoulder. This was an hour ago. Can you see the difference? You can, this one and this one. So I'm gonna put Drizzle On the shoulder, I didn't do. So you already see this, right? Super good. I'm going to tell you why it's so good. It's got aloe vera, citrus peel. It has enzymes. It has papaya enzymes and hyaluronic acid to plump the skin. It also gently exfoliates the skin. So now we got this side and now we got that side. And look at how just yummy. Like you just want to, like, you'll do it and you'll be like, oh my God, my skin. I want to lick my own skin and be like, eh. So anyway, now, wait, which one was it? Okay. Now you can see it. Now you see it. Anyway, so watered, you can either buy the set, and if you were lucky enough to get the Black Friday sale where it was 50% off, good for you. That's as low as we're going to go, but I'm going to have some promotions in a little while for this week going into December. It's not going to be as big as it was, but it's going to be a good deal. Dearest Darling says, I got my watered body care and so excited to use it. Soulspiration says, let me stop playing and get some water body care. And just so you guys know, you can buy all the stuff individually, and this is Drizzle. It is so good. Dear Darling says, the packaging is so luxurious, gorgeous, and the smell is divine. Thank you so much. All right, guys, so let's just get right into it. Let me share my screen. Well, before I do that, let me first pull up the page. All right. So, as I mentioned, I asked ChatGPT, describe what divestment meant to early BWE bloggers in the early 2000s. So that's my question right there. And this is what ChatGPT came up with. And it's so freaking accurate. I can't even tell you. Well, yes, I can tell you because I was there. In the context of early Black women's empowerment, bloggers in the early 2000s divestment referred to a conscious and intentional shift in focus and energy away from relationships, communities, or societal structures that were deemed detrimental to the well-being and empowerment of Black women. Divestment was a strategic response to the recognition that certain environments, ideologies, or individuals were not contributing positively to the lives of Black women, and therefore redirecting attention and resources away from those influences became an act of empowerment. And here are the aspects of what divestment meant to early BWE bloggers. I just want to say right here. So wait, you are okay. I was just checking the chat. Hold on. All right, so here it is. The first one, number one. There's the impression that divestment is all about dating white men, right? If it was all about dating white men, ChatGPT, which is, is just kind of like a little bug that scrubs all, Google mostly, all the search engines to gather up and synchronize information and package it for you. So it just basically, that's all it is. It's just like a synthesizer of information that's on the internet. And this is what it came up with. And so for relationships, the first bullet, divestment often involved reassessing and, if necessary, disengaging from relationships that were toxic, abusive, or didn't support the well-being and growth of Black women. Bullet 2, bloggers encourage women to prioritize relationships that were mutually respectful, affirming, and contributed positively to personal development. As you can see, it says nothing about hating Black men and worshiping white men. This was the original thesis of BWE online in the early 2000s. Yes, there was an element of interracial dating, and we'll get into why that is a little bit later, probably in the next bullet point, as an option so that Black women had more choices, especially if they were opting out of relationships and relationship constraints that just don't seem to be getting better. So it became an option because we were exploring other ways of getting in relationships that were mutually respectful, affirming, and contributed positively to personal development. Like, that's what it was. That really was what it was. Community dynamics. BWE bloggers encourage divestment from communities or social circles that perpetuate harmful stereotypes, limited opportunities, or did not recognize the diverse experiences of Black women. One of the things that we really tackled early on was rap music and degenerate music that put Black women in a harmful light. I remember years ago when NWA came out with that movie, or not NWA, but the movie based on NWA, Straight Outta Compton. We worked so hard to try and convince our community, women outside of our community, and the public to not watch this movie. Like, that was a big campaign of ours to just boycott the movie and boycott movies, music that depicted Black women in a negative light. And that was something that we talked about quite a bit. This could involve disengaging from spaces that promoted negative narratives or reinforcing harmful stereotypes. So that's what we did. We would often do profiles on rappers, singers, movies, TV shows that put Black women in a negative light because it made our lives harder. It only showed one simplified, cartoonish aspect of Black women as highly over-sexualized, toxic mentally, recalcitrant, loud, obnoxious, because we could see how those images not only gave us a bad impression, and not just in America, but globally. I remember one particular, I don't know if it was a comment or if it was a blog post, where a woman went to China and somebody asked her to twerk. And it was stuff like that that would just make our heads explode, because we knew that it was because of all of the harmful media stuff that was proliferating everywhere. So we saw it coming. And unfortunately, a lot of Black women, instead of saying, no, I don't think this is good for our collective, they leaned into it. So there's even, you guys, I can't even believe this, but there's a new facet of feminism based on leaning into the negative stereotypes for Black women. And I find it so offensive and borderline racist. It's called ratchet feminism. Like, that's what it's called. And it's a theory. And it's so funny. Like, how are we like the center of this? Like, how is it that feminist theory repackaged the negative stereotypes that follow us everywhere and sell it to us as empowering? Like, what world is this? what is this? I don't recognize this world, that there's actual theory, feminist theory. If you don't believe me, look up ratchet feminism theory. Just Google it. If you don't believe me, it's crazy. It's crazy. So what was the next thing? Educational and career choices. Divestment extended to educational and career choices. Bloggers emphasized the importance of pursuing education and career paths that aligned with personal goals and aspirations rather than conforming to limiting expectations. Again, we focused on doing better just in general, not being just in these helper fields like nurses and teachers, but really stretching ourselves and wanting to explore other avenues to pursue careers and financial freedom. Self-love and body positivity. There was an emphasis on divesting from societal beauty standards that did not celebrate the diverse beauty of Black women. Encouragement. This is how I know ChatGPT is not on one. This line right here was the thing that convinced me that I was like, okay, ChatGPT don't know what it's talking about. Encouragement to embrace natural hair. Diverse body types and individual styles was a key aspect of divestment from Eurocentric beauty ideals. So I want to take a second really quick and share how the natural hair movement was tied to BWE, because it really was. We were very much into embracing how the hair.
Please try again.
Siri just told me something went wrong. Okay. I think everything's fine. I think everything's fine. Siri, everything's fine. And I remember doing articles about this, writing about this on ebony.com about Black women embracing their natural hair. Do you guys realize that back in 2008, 2009, Black women were so worried about wearing their natural hair that some of them in relationships with Black men, they said that their husbands or boyfriends said that if they stopped getting perm, they were going to break up, or they were terrified that their partners would leave them because they were all conditioned to think that the way our hair grows out of our head is ugly. And so these women would come together in community forums like Long Hair Care Forum. I don't know if you guys remember Long Hair Care Forum. I think it's still around. Make sure you guys like this. I don't know if you guys still, I don't know if it's still on, or if you remember Long Hair Care Forum, but it was really about learning how to do our own hair, exchanging ideas about different products. And then there was parts of the forum that was dealing with how psychologically they were dealing with reconciling their own natural hair, doing their own natural hair, how people were reacting to wearing their natural hair. Like, it was just a different world, you guys. It was a totally different world. And you know what's so funny now is that you have like the He-Man Black woman haters talking about weave and all this other stuff, like it's so terrible. But understand that during that time, Black women were literally afraid that their Black partners would leave them if they wore their hair natural. So the way in which they've flipped this around, like they've always wanted this, like this was always something that was a thing. No, we were all under the spell of relaxers. I mean, we were all, or pressing our hair. Oh my God, flat ironing our hair, pressing our hair. Like Queen Anna says, yes, I remember many Black women being afraid. And so how did the intersection between Black women's natural hair and dating interracially converge? You might be wondering how that happened. it happened because men of other communities, and this is so sad, but this is true, men of other communities tended to embrace our natural kinky hair more so over our own group. That's a reality. I mean, you guys aren't that young, right? That's just how it was. They liked it, they embraced it, they affirmed it. And there were many, many people, both women and men in the Black community, that hated it. And there was so much mocking of it. The darker you were, the kinkier your hair was, the uglier you were, right? To the point where it became a joke or a meme. If you saw a dark-skinned woman with her natural kinky hair, you would hear some people say, "Oh, I bet she dates white guys." Like, how sad is that? How sad is that? So if she's dark and she's wearing her, twist outs or whatever, oh, she must be dating a white guy. Because why? Most Black men at the time just weren't checking for Black women looking like that. And they're still not really. Like, they want natural hair, but it has to be so processed with different creams and oils and stretching methods and everything else to try to elongate, when it really was just about embracing the hair, how it came out of our head. Another thing, going back to community dynamics. That was BWE Bloggers encouraged divestment from communities or social circles that perpetuated harmful stereotypes, limited opportunities, and did not recognize the diverse experiences of Black women. And during that time, in 2010, I came out with a campaign called No Wedding, No Womb. So one of the centerpieces that we talked about was we need to stop having these children without the benefit of marriage. So back then in 2009, that's what we were focusing on. We were focusing on how this didn't serve us, how having children without a partner, and it's so normalized, but Black women get the brunt of the burden, is wrong. And if you can believe it, the Black community was mad that we talked about that. They said we were being elitist, that we were being bougie, that we were shaming single Black mothers. And here we are today, where now it's like, well, of course we shouldn't be having these babies out of wedlock. Duh. But you guys don't understand. The reason why you can say, of course we shouldn't be doing this, of course this is a bad idea, it's because the early women in this group took the hits so that you can have that idea. That idea did not exist in 2009, 2010. Nobody was talking about it. It was something that was just a fact. It was just something that happened. We had a 73% out of wedlock rate in the Black community. Now it's down to about 68%. So it's declining, it's going in the right direction. And you would think it would just have been common sense. But not only did the Black community as a whole shame us for saying that and for taking that position, it was also white feminists who also came in to attack No Wedding, No Womb. For what reason, I have no idea. Then the only thing that I can think of is they wanted to you go girl us. You go ahead, have those babies with Pookie and Ray Ray. Yes, girl. Yes, do that. Do that, girl. Well, they were going over there to their husbands and gated communities and legitimate children. And they were telling us things that they would never have wanted for themselves or their daughters. It was stunning to me how many white feminists who came out against this. They're not claiming it now, but they sure did. How many of you guys remember this? Like, if there's anybody in the chat that remembers this and wants to kind of co-sign what I'm saying, there's the link if you want to join. But if you can't join, I want to know in the chat if you remember all of this, if you were around for all of this. And shout out to Veronica Conway. That's my girl. You guys should, Veronica, you should put your website up if you have your website. She's phenomenal. She's absolutely phenomenal. Yes, let me see. Yeah, hold on. Let me just double check and see. Well, nobody's coming up. So if you guys want to just put it in the chat, Neon the Phoenix says, I remember. If you want to come up and comment on that, I would love to talk to you about it. But we're not done yet. We're not done. We're going to keep going. Because do you guys see, for a second, I just want to pull you guys for a second. Do you see, based on what I just highlighted, how it's so wrong now? How it's been so bastardized? How it's become so distilled to just this negative aspect of it, the emotional aspect of just being angry about realizing that you're part of a community that has, in a lot of ways, bamboozled you. You just stay in that anger and chase around the men you say you don't want so you can yell that you don't want them. I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Again, you loved them and you flipped it. Now you hate them. But on either polarized side, they're still the center of it. They're still the center of your conversations. They're still the center of your angst. They're still the center of why you're making dating choices, like dating particularly white men. You're doing it to stick it to the Black man. Really weird. You still, I don't know. It's weird. It's gotta be, I understand it. I understand the anger, but it's now just become just this trend. It's a legit category on YouTube. It's a legit category on Twitter. It's a legit category on TikTok. Like, and none of them have actually read the writings, because there are writings. There are people who wrote books. Some of the blogs are still up. And I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of a book that I found from a blogger from back in the day. And I'm gonna read the introduction to you just to prove to you another layer of how scholarly it was at the time and how many more layers it was than just being angry at Black men and dating white guys. It was so much more than that. It should be so much more than that. And the crazy thing about it is when you have a critique about it, about, hey, I kind of think this is going down the wrong road, there's so much anger at you critiquing that you're going down the wrong road. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't hate Black men. I don't that requires so much energy. I have accepted in so many ways that this is kind of it. Like, what we see is what it is. And I've accepted it, and I can be friends with decent Black men who are level-headed, that are not misogynistic. I'm not dating them. I usually don't. I mean, to be honest, like if one comes along and he meets my standards, okay, but for the most part, I'm just looking to, I can talk to him, I can be friends, I can let that go. Like, I'm not walking around like being angry at them all the time. And also, early BWE women and existing women, even in my private group, some of them are married to Black men. And also, believe it or not, there were Black male allies at the beginning, early stages of BWE. Like, they were blogging as well. They were on Twitter, in our Twitter feed, supporting. Like, it wasn't about hating Black men and chasing them around and telling them how bad they are. We had a lot of harassment, a lot of harassment. I don't know if any of you from the original BW remember Mr. Laurelton Queens. He was a blogger that made it his business to chase around the collection of BWE bloggers, to harass them, pick apart the things that they said, spam the comment sections, calling us sellouts, everything else. That guy ended up dying. I can't say, I'm sorry. I think I would be lying if I said, I'll just say, I hope he's at peace now. I think that's probably the most generous thing I can say, is that I hope he's at peace now. And I say that also about Kevin Samuels. Somebody asked me the other day, do you apologize for your ding dong, the witch is dead, Kevin Samuels thing? I said what I said at the time, but I'll say this: it's Christmas, and I will be generous, and I will say, I hope he's at peace. That's about as all you're gonna get out of me. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, so let's keep going with Chat GPT, who clearly knows divestment more than, ooh, there's a lot of people on here. I didn't see this. Sorry, guys. Oh, it's Nafisa. Hey. And Nafisa's joining, and Lola. Hey, Lola. I think it's trying to do audio. You're muted if you wanted to come up and say something.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I think that was me.
That's okay.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I have been here throughout the years just as an observer. Sometimes I dial in. And so I've seen the message go.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I got to turn one of these volumes down.
Okay.
And wait, am I still good to go?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I've seen the rhetoric go absolutely bonkers, right? I've seen it go from the enlightenment that needs to happen of like what's going on with our community. I've seen, a healthy amount of anger is fueling and important so that you can move on. But there was supposed to be a point where you moved on. There was supposed to be a point where you picked up your marbles and moved on and went to go play another game. And for some people, I know that I took a break from like the YouTube, BWE, femininity, all that space. I took a break for years because it just wasn't giving, especially like when you had a hiatus. It's like no one was giving a good level of content anymore. And it was all about infighting and all about language being used and all about like craziness. And then I think around 2022, I like checked back in and it was like the house was on fire. I was like, what happened? You know, I was like,
That's so bad.
we're
I would
calling
peek in
people,
too sometimes, and I was like,
right? It was
I told
insane.
y'all that was gonna happen. I'm
You
gonna say this.
did.
I
Oh
warned,
my
if you guys
God.
look at the video that I did about a year ago, I warned everybody. Everybody told me to be quiet, not say anything, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You're mammy, you're swirly,
I couldn't
you bitch.
look, Kristlyn, shocked. I was shocked to see
Mhm.
the rhetoric. It was this thing of like, and I'm not like coming here to start any mess, but it's like, how is anybody supposed to take us seriously when
Yeah.
this is the language? And I think that there was a point in time where people did take like your message and the people who took your message seriously because they saw that we were getting better, we were improving. Like I took the pink pill, like I bought the pink pill course.
Thank you.
I just had 2 weekends ago I was just at a black tie event with like literally like the upper crust of the city that I live in, and I fit in, like I can't even tell you how much I fit in. And so it's like if you are on YouTube day after day, moaning and yelling and screaming and using, just being juvenile and absolutely just horrid to be around, you are not actually getting to the bag, or you're not actually getting to like quote unquote zaddy or whatever. Like you're not actually doing any of that stuff if all you're doing is screaming on YouTube. Like you need like if you're like, oh, we're actually leveling up and doing all these things, like it requires you to drop your laptop. And so yeah, it was it was very wild to see, to come
Drop
back
your
and
laptop,
see,
throw your phone.
throw your phone, like go out and touch grass, go out
Right.
and like, if you don't care about Black men, prove it.
Exactly. And what do you think about what I'm saying about the polarity of it still being the singular focus being the men? So the love, the
Yes,
singular focus, the hate, the singular focus. Like it's still the singular focus.
we don't know how to be ourselves. There's a lot of Black women who don't know how to relate to themselves, and it takes a lot of, like, you have to reflect on it. But that is, I agree, it is the singular focus. Like all you're doing is like
Or are attacking other Black women who
yes,
just are saying, I have a different idea. Like maybe I don't hate Black men.
I
Ah!
couldn't believe,
Maybe
I
we
remember,
shouldn't call them apes.
I
Ah!
like, how is that controversial? How is saying that we shouldn't call them apes controversial?
I know.
Like, are we in the upside down? Like, what is
We
happening?
are truly in the upside down. We're truly
It
in the
makes,
upside down. Make sure you
I
guys
couldn't,
please like this video. Please like it because I would like to get back in the algorithm like I was. Please make sure there's 88 likes and 214 people in here, unless there's like, I don't know, 88 minus 214, whatever that remainder is. If you're hate watching, you can like the video.
yeah.
I'd appreciate it.
Definitely your hiatus was that's when I took my hiatus from this space as well. And um yeah, it's still all focused on Black men. And I don't know why that's not evident to them.
Right.
And I
I just
also
think they're
don't,
having fun with it. I think they're like they've made the hate kind of a game. It's kind of fun. It's a way to build community and have something to talk about, something to focus on. And it's like if you're focusing on, it's the same thing with these manosphere, these Black manosphere guys. If they're preoccupied with talking about Black women and how disgusting they are and how they did this, and you're looking on TikTok, you're looking on the shade room, you're looking at all these places to confirm your beliefs, then you're not really focusing on yourself,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
You're not
That
really
is
focusing
so
on how you
true.
can improve. And you can even see when they do have videos and topics about improving yourself, they don't get that many views. You can see by the views what it is that they're interested in watching. They're interested in watching the freaking bloodbath, or they want to see these humiliation rituals over and over and over again of Black women. And it's the same thing with divestment, the divestors on and social media. It's these humiliation things that they just want to keep going over and revisiting over and over because there's something psychological that's feeding them in some way. I can't
Absolutely.
really say what it is, but it's something. It's feeding you. If it wasn't feeding you, you wouldn't continue to do it. But I have to ask, are you full yet? Right?
It really seems like a thirst that will never be quenched. I don't I think that my main bone to pick is this, what I think is a lie about caring about Black women.
You
I
went
think that's,
there.
I'm sorry,
You
but
went there.
I
Let's
think it's a
go.
lie. I think it's a
Yes.
lie. I think that even if I see a Black woman make mistakes that I know she shouldn't make, even if like I know that like this kind of Black woman is, we're not aligned in values, never in a million years would I get on a public platform and name call her and dox her as worse as some of these manosphere men do.
Mm-hmm.
Off rip, you do not like Black women. You do not care
Yeah.
about the safety and the elevation of Black women. And if
Right.
you like, and if that is the case, just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
just be honest, just be real about it, right? But it's
Right.
this like, oh, I'm like, we care, we're
I'm doing
warriors for
this
Black
because I care
women.
about Black girls and women.
No, you don't,
Black
right?
girls are being killed every 4.5 hours, and this is why I do the work that I do. You mammy, you dusty, huh?
It
This is
doesn't
what
make
you're doing?
sense.
And like harassing people, like wanting to be the queen bee, like it just the energy is not loving and affirming and true care. It's not.
It's, if it takes one person, if it takes a person, if all they have to do is disagree with a single point you've made for you to name call them and berate them, you do not love them. You
You
do not
don't.
care about them.
Right.
I
And
have,
also it's a kind of though it like that's an element of how some aspects of the Black community are they believe in berating. You know how some parents have
yes,
in our culture to just like berate and just punch down, and I'm trying to make you better, but trying to make you better,
oh,
like that's what I think,
that's
kind of like that.
such a good point. No, you're absolutely right. I remember I once made a comment publicly about how, people don't get to just speak to me any kind of way. Like if you want to give me critique, you should at least have the tact to do so respectfully, right? And
Mm-hmm.
every Black person who commented on it was like, you just need to stop being sensitive. Like if it's real, it's real. I'm just making sure you're accountable. It's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
we need to stop talking. We need to stop talking to each other all crazy. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
disagree with someone. I've been watching your content for years. I don't always agree with you, but that doesn't mean that I'm getting in your comments and calling you everything but a child of God.
Yeah, it
So
was
for
getting bad
what?
for a while. It was, woo, Lordy. Some of these women need to start taking naps in the during the
Truly.
day. Like just a rejuvenating nap. Like just lay down on a pillow and
Do
just
some,
sleep for a minute and wake
or
up,
just be productive, just
sleep,
baseline
but do
productive.
something. Take a nap or
Yeah.
do a
I,
hobby, and don't let the hobby be scrounging the internet looking for things to be mad at, and then not really being acting like a high school bully. Like I mean, that's kind of how I feel like this has become. It's been like
mm-hmm.
high school girls being bullies online, and it's about that. It's about trying to humiliate and being preoccupied with what Black men are doing. And I have been critical of Black men. I have, but I am still respectful. Okay. I don't
Yes.
need to articulate what is going on in the community by calling people names. Like I
Yes.
have the level of intelligence and critical thinking and research ability to communicate my thoughts in a way that's still respectful.
And I will say that I don't think everyone who has a platform has those skills.
Oh, that's
And
clear.
so that's why all the yelling and the name calling happens. And the last thing that I'll say, and then I'll hop off, is um, it, I cannot, other than fueling anger, other than fueling a need to scream, there is nothing tangible that you are actually getting from these platforms other than more anger.
Right.
So I think that people who are watching that and they want to move, like I just watched your past live about like what if, if you're doing certain things, you shouldn't date interracially, right? Like some people just need to work on things so they can move on and have a happier life. If I stuck to the anger of how I felt as a dark-skinned black, accomplished black woman who like felt like I couldn't really date, or if I did date interracially, I felt guilty about it. Like if I held on to the very righteous and called for anger, if I just stayed there, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Absolutely.
I have changed my whole life in the span of like 3 years based off of advice that I've gotten from you and from Kendall and
Awesome.
from other people.
Awesome.
And people need to, and that's why like calling you a mammy is insane. It's
I
very, very
know. I'm
crazy.
just like,
Very crazy.
okay, girl. All right. Like, now it's just funny. I mean, I've
Yeah, like
gotten
words
so,
mean things. Words
yeah,
means things.
yeah.
Like,
I was like, you're just gonna totally repackage the definition to like, okay, girl, you want to call me? I don't care. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, I'm sure they're gonna call me names after this. I'm just telling you, in my response to whatever you guys are gonna say about me for my saying naps are really essential. Also, drinking water is really essential. Taking your vitamins. Meditation is good as too good as well.
reading,
That's what I have to. Reading is good.
taking walks.
Yes. Touching grass. That's also
Yes,
really good. That's
just logging off.
my response. Just so you know, if don't send me any clips of this, that, and the other, you guys, because that's gonna be my response. Like honestly, I'm this about it. I'm this
Yeah,
about it because everything that I said was going to happen happened because you guys, the people who they know who they are, said I was the problem. You remember that, Lola?
yep. Oh,
He
yeah, I
said
remember
I was
that.
the problem. I left.
And it
So
was even
great, right?
worse.
Exactly.
You left, and when I tell you that the Titanic hit the berg and sank, like it was a like band is playing on the deck as the ship goes down. I like the and I think like you did a really great job of touching a lot of spaces, the BWE, the level up, the femininity, the like you were the only person who was talking about what happens after you marry a man. Everybody's
Mhm.
always like, look cute, and then you'll get married. It's like, okay, what, like your life comes after that still.
Right,
Like you still
right.
need to
There's
improve your
no
life.
plan. There's no
Yeah.
strategy.
There's no
There's no
strategy.
nothing. It's just do this, wear that, get this. And it just doesn't work that
Nothing
way.
else. It
It's
has
just,
no substance. And so yeah, and then once you did that hiatus, it was like the content became, other than a few people, obviously, but the content became dumb. It became
Mhm.
dumb. It became short-sighted. It was not well-rounded at all. And it was advice from people who cared more about numbers than actually helping people.
Yeah.
So I know like your numbers are like getting back to where they used to be, which I love to see. But
Mhm. Yeah,
you,
it's gonna take a while. I'm not
it,
in the algorithm,
yeah,
but again, I had to step back and it was the best thing. I think I may even do a video about how I had to step back from it and create a separation, get my own healing, because there were some things going on with me that made me feel like I needed to prove myself when I should have just take a moment to see, look at how much you've done. There's nothing to prove. And
yeah,
once I really realized that there's really nothing to prove, like I've done it already. I've done, and I have enough body of work that it just doesn't affect me the way that it used to. Veronica, if you're still on, Veronica, there's the link. I want you to join. Veronica Conway, who was in the chat, helped me a lot with this. And so I want to kind of give her a shout out. So if you're in the chat still, come up because I want to talk to you. And thank you, Lila. I have Nafisa, you're on, and I want to give you a chance to say something too.
Hi, Chris. How are
Hi.
you?
Hi. And thanks, Lola. Thanks for coming on. Mhm.
I won't be up here long. I just, I came home from work and I saw that you were on and I said, oh, you know what I mean? And I literally just bought one of your eye creams. Was it yesterday or the day before
Yes,
yesterday?
I have to ship it out. I saw it. Yes.
You were on the other night in the live and you were talking about the eye cream and you did your eye. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
see
No.
something happening over there with the puppy. So I am an
Mhm.
ice cream junkie. I already told you. We talked for quite a minute.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
I'm
And you
listening to
guys, she's an esthetician. And so she's like she has a big knowledge of skincare. So it's a great compliment that
you.
you're
11
buying
years.
Water Body Care. Really, that means a lot. That means a lot.
Yeah. I was watching it before, when you were talking about it before the launch, I was watching, waiting for it to drop, you know what I mean? And then I
Yeah.
know it was supposed to drop in April. And of course,
Yeah.
I
Delay. Yeah.
it's a part of the industry. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
I almost expected it, you know what I mean? I was hoping, but I know how things roll in these parts.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't at all surprised. But when it came out, and I already explained everything to
Yeah.
you, but I
Mhm.
was just excited to order it. And I went on there and I ordered the eye cream. So I'm excited to get that. And
Yeah.
I put a comment in your comment section earlier. You were asking about, if you remember, you know what I mean? I cut my hair. Well, I stopped relaxing in 1998.
Mhm.
And I did the big chop January 17th, 2000. Now, I had
Mhm.
always had what was considered by the community as
Communacá. Mhm.
good hair, long hair, good hair, but it was always relaxed. I didn't get a choice on whether I put a relaxer in my hair. I had the choice as a grown woman as to whether I'm going to continue to do this. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to do it.
Mhm.
Immediately ridiculed. Immediately ridiculed with my little
What did
teeny
they
weeny.
say?
Oh gosh, because I didn't just automatically wear my hair just straight out. I used to wear headbands and things like that, something to kind of like dress it up, frame my face. I got the comments of like, you're not really embracing, your hair. And I'm like, it's a headband. If I had a headband when if I have my hair was wrapped, you know what I mean, still relaxed, and I was wrapping it, I was a wrap queen, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, hair
Oh
flowing.
God, I remember wraps. Like slicking it
Yes,
around those little
yes,
silver
honey.
things.
Yes,
And they
yes.
would hurt
I
so
had
much
it.
when you were trying to sleep, when you like wrap your hair up, put it, oh God,
I
that just
had it down.
like
Mine wasn't a
memories.
pain
Yes,
problem.
girl.
It wasn't a pain problem for me. It was that thing was coming off my head. You know what I mean? Over the course of me sleeping. So it was like trying to sleep like a statue. So my hair wasn't messed up in the morning. I didn't have no bumps or crinkles in it. It all
Mhm.
became too much. And I got to the point, the reason that I stopped relaxing was because I couldn't remember exactly what my hair was like.
Yeah,
My
you don't
sister
know what
had
it looks
no
like.
hair when I was 7, and I
Mhm.
couldn't remember exactly what my hair. I sort of remember, and I was curious to know exactly what's my natural hair like again. I know it used to be manageable. It used to be pretty. It was still long. It
Mhm.
was more work, but I was like, I think I can do it.
No,
And
my
so I
mom
tried
pressed the hair on. She was like, mm-mm. No, my hair was kinky and thick. And she was like, mm-mm, we putting this in a car. I remember being like 9 or 10 and her putting a perm in my hair. And I
Mhm.
hated it so much because I would get these oozing
Yes,
sores. It would burn. It was horrible.
it
And
was
and
bad
now
for your
finding
health.
out, yeah, finding out years later that stuff causes all kinds of endocrine problems related to fibroids. I have fibroids now. I stopped getting perms when I was 18 because when I moved out, I couldn't afford to get a perm every 6 weeks. So I
Hmm.
get it. I'm gonna just let my hair grow out. But
Well, that was
just
good. I
those
mean, 18 is young to make that decision, especially
I
when
just did it because I couldn't afford it. And I was just like, and then once it was all grown out, I was like, do I really want those oozy, pussy sores in my head, and it would always be in the back of my head. And they would, remember when they would comb it through with that fine tooth comb, and you
Yes.
just knew where there was going to be a sore. You like,
Oh, they're scratching
you're
your
like,
scalp.
yep,
They're
that's going to be a
literally
sore.
scratching your
That's going to
scalp.
be a sore. Mm-hmm.
They're literally scratching your scalp with that rat tooth comb, that rat tail comb. And so trying to get it as straight as possible, that bone straight, and dragging your scalp. That if you just put, Vaseline on it to coat the scalp, which was something that my mom always did, put Vaseline on the scalp and put a barrier between my scalp and that relaxer, but still get down to the root of the hair. It actually did give you a little bit more time to get that, work it too. But I mean, I don't want to remember these tricks.
I know, exactly. I mean, I will never get a perm. Are you kidding me? Like, oh my God, do they even sell them anymore?
I do believe they do sell them. I was in Target the other day and I saw, their little section, and they still have relaxers.
Do they
Yes,
still have the dark and lovely relaxers?
They still have dark and lovely. I can't remember what I used to get. Oh God, what was that one that I used to get? I can't remember, but it was never
they tried
dark
to
and
make
lovely.
it seem like a healthy, remember they tried to do like, oh, this is a healthy kind of relaxer. Like,
Cream of Nature.
oh, it's all bad. Like, there's no healthy relaxer.
No, there's no relaxer, no lie. Like, come on, man.
No lie is a lie.
It's a lie.
It's a
And I
lie.
need to get the Cream of Nature. Do you remember Cream of Nature?
Yes, I remember Cream of Nature. I think I would, yep. I think I had a couple Cream of Nature relaxers.
And I had to give it up because I got to a point, truly, it was a psychological and emotional thing where I felt like I was fake. And that's why I did the big chop, so I stopped relaxing in 98, June of 98. That was my last relaxer. I did the big chop in January of 2000. And I was just trying to let it grow out, you know what I mean? But I just got to a point where it's taking too long. I feel fake. I feel like I'm trying to be someone that I am not. There's nothing wrong with my hair.
You thought cutting your hair short was being fake?
No. I thought that holding on to that relaxed hair.
Oh, yes.
Because I didn't cut it immediately. I stopped relaxing. I didn't cut it immediately. So now I'm getting to this point a year and a half later. Now I got transition hair, half transition at the root, you know what I mean? And I got all this relaxed hair hanging on. I'm trying to do something with it. And I just got to a point, I called my hairdresser, who was not happy because he had been doing my relaxers for years, at that point.
He was making money off of that. Those relaxers are expensive.
Yes. And I mean, he was fast. He was wonderful. He was great. He kept my hair in good condition and did not burn me. But I was done. I was done with the chemicals. I was done putting this crap in my hair. I was done, feeling like fake. I felt like every time I put this in my hair, I'm trying to be someone who I am not. There's nothing wrong with my hair. And that's why I finally did the big chop for numerous reasons. I was sick of this transition. Like, let's just start again. I'm tired of trying to do something with this ends here that's hanging on. They were going to break off anyway. So I did. It was best. But I remember immediately being ridiculed. You know what I mean? Kind of like in the first 2 days. You know what I mean?
What did people say?
I told you about the whole headband
They were
thing.
saying that the headband
if you're really, going natural and, you're so proud of your hair, why don't you just wear it out? Now, one, I want to let you know that even before then, for years and years and years, I have covered my hair. I have covered my hair regularly.
That's probably why it was so long and healthy in the first place.
Even when I had a relaxer, I covered my hair regularly. And I would either have maybe just the back out, you know what I mean? But the roots and the fronts are protected. My edges was always slick. I used to have girls in school. Literally, I remember, I won't say her name, but we were just in the bathroom and she was just looking at my edges and she's like, your edges, it's always laid. And it's really annoying. You know what I mean? She was actually a friend of mine, but you know what I mean? She told me the truth in a friendly way. But
somebody brought up in the chat real quick, Masho Na said, y'all remember the Just For Me girls came out and said they never relaxed their Yeah,
Yeah.
like didn't
Yes.
they have a just for me? Oh my God.
Those girls had beautiful, healthy hair that was pressed or blown out and just, it was healthy hair. It was not relaxed, just like we achieve now when we do our silk press and things like that with our
Mm-hmm.
natural hair, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But
Yeah.
I
But
don't
I
want to
mean,
spend too
so
much
but
time. And I know you got other people. I'm
during
sorry, go
that
ahead.
time, sorry to interrupt you. I think there's a delay. During that time in the early 2000s, that was when it was really risky. You were really kind of a decade before. Well,
Mm-hmm.
no, it was still early 2000s. I remember joining Long Hair Care Forum, and it was probably 2004, 2005, but you were still ahead of the curve in terms of what people were talking about and doing online and sharing online. Did you
I've
feel,
always been
find a
that way.
community? Did you find a like a natural hair community, or
Nope,
like
I
how did
figured it out myself.
you?
I did not never I never found a natural hair community until I didn't need a natural hair community. I was
Mhm,
kind of
you
like,
knew it.
you know what I mean? I would,
Mhm,
when I found the videos, it's like after 2010 now. And I mean, I got this, you know what I mean? And it's
mhm,
not difficult. I went the simple route. I
mhm,
keep my hair clean and well conditioned and detangled. And I usually have it kind of wrapped in a bun. Sometimes I'll twist it. Every once in a while, I'll blow it out, but I want to be cute. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm.
Just
And you see
fun.
how I wear my hair? I'm like,
I think your hair is absolutely gorgeous. Your hair is
thank you.
gorgeous. Your skin is absolutely gorgeous. Every time I'm watching your, I'm sitting there watching how the light hits your skin, and I'm like, okay, see, I mean, I can't be having rivals.
It's this girl. Like I said, worked on it for 3 years, and I was just like, why does nothing like this exist? Kind of like what I did with the pink pill and
Which I
the
purchased.
book.
I
I was
actually
like,
did
why
buy
doesn't
that.
it exist? I'm just gonna make it exist. So I just made it exist. So I appreciate your support on that.
I
Do you have any
really
final
hope that
words?
this I really hope it works out for you. I am praying because,
I hope so too.
I'm feeling like this eye cream is going to be hitting the way when you put it on and demonstrated it. I was watching, I'm watching for
Mhm.
puffiness, I'm watching for results here. And I really saw something happening. So I was like,
Yes.
okay, this is it. She,
You guys want to let me
and I
see if I can.
told you about making my own stuff just because I got sick and tired of getting a product that I love and then it disappearing on me. And I do not
Mhm.
want your stuff disappearing on me.
Yeah, no, I hope that it doesn't. Oh, Veronica's on. Yay. I want to just show you guys really quick what she sees. This is the eye cream that I use for well, let's see what I use all the time, but it's also part of watered body
I
care,
need you to
which is
shake
my
that
line.
big juicy black ass.
Oop. Okay. Veronica.
I'm gonna put myself on
Was
mute.
that
So
your man? Hold on. So here you guys. Here's the quick little video of me doing the eye cream. Had a really rough day today. Look at these bags. I'm trying the eye cream from Watered Body Care. Hold on. I'm just gonna do one eye. Let's see. Which one should I do? This one. Ooh, those eyes was bagging. Them bags was bagging. Wow, I waited 2 minutes. You guys remember what I did? This one versus this one.
yes,
But yeah, I mean,
exactly. That's what I saw.
it's literally 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
I'm excited. I can't wait to get it.
I want to just really quick, Veronica. I wanted
Sure.
you to
You have
come
a
on.
great night, Chris. Okay. Have a good night. Thank
You
you for
too.
bringing me
Thank
up.
you so much for coming on. We will be talking again soon about the stuff we talked about offline. Thank you for coming up and for your support and for your business. I appreciate it. Veronica, you there?
Hello. Yes, I'm
Hey.
here. Hey.
So I saw you in the chat and I
Yeah.
wanted to just kind of shout you out because there's a lot of people watching. So if you can you knew how, well, before we get into it,
Mhm.
Tell people what you do.
Yeah. I have been in the Negro and Negress healing business for about 23 years. I founded the world's first Black Coaches Association. So back before everybody, and Mama was a coach, we were partnering with Black professional organizations and driving culturally competent coaching in the Black community. I have since moved on, and I've really, like, more recently, especially since I I didn't know about early BWE. I was sort of, you know, neck deep in, National Urban League and Black Public Administrators and those kinds of organizations deploying coaching over there.
Mm-hmm.
I found out about you and KSC and Almaz, like, really in the last couple of years. And so when I really got what it was, I was like, oh, so many things make sense. Like, I know I'm not crazy looking at all this stuff, right? So now I do healing. I've taken the last 22 years and I've really cracked the code on how to heal Black people in really record time. I mean, trauma, deep trauma. I use a combination of modalities like hypnosis and other modalities. I help people do strategic planning. It's really good stuff. I mean, it really works. I've spent 22 years figuring out how to do it the fastest, and so that's what I do. And I'm really just drilling down into doing it with Black women, just because I have seen what the whole big story is. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And you came to me because you saw me really struggling. I was
yeah,
struggling on multiple social media platforms.
yes,
And
yes,
you had said, hey, Chris, I see what's going on. I kind of, I think I might be able to help you. And at
hmm,
the time, it sounded so woo-woo to
right,
me. I was just
right.
like, I'm not really, thanks, kind of.
You were you were polite about it. I appreciate
I
that. You're
was
like,
like, kind of.
okay, girl.
And I had hit rock bottom. I was just done with everything. I was like, all this that I've built, and it's just, it's consuming me. It is going to kill me, literally going to kill me. Can you explain? Because I think that this may help a
Hmm,
lot of particularly Black women who are
hmm,
struggling, maybe, I mean, just outside of just this, but
right. In general,
in general. So
right.
explain for them to understand what you did. It was one session, one session.
Yep.
I'd been struggling, you guys, as you know, because you've seen me fall on my face multiple times, care too much, suffer from terrible imposter syndrome. And I don't think imposter syndrome has completely gone away, but constantly feeling like I have to prove and
Right.
debunk and all of the stuff. And it was just taking me down this
Right.
terrible road. People could target me and just say anything, lie, and it affected me so much. I felt like I needed to prove to these people, like there's still this person who to this day believes that I did something to her that I didn't do. But I can't, the only thing that I can say, because anyway, I'm not gonna get into it. I don't care. But it was just, it was like a tsunami. It was like one thing after the other after the other. And then when I hit rock bottom, I was ready to listen. So Veronica, tell them in a way that they can understand what you did in 45 minutes?
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes. And I've done that with people that have had really deep traumatic experiences. So the way to and I support a lot of Black women that are on the High Wire Act, meaning I have clients that have been on the red carpet at Cannes and then sat down at the premiere and realized they weren't in the movie. I've helped executives navigate really tricky situations, especially in the public sphere. So what's true is that we talk about being triggered, right? And you've
Yes.
heard KFC talk about that. And what you were really experiencing, CK, is really like the trigger, like something happens
Mhm.
where you collapse what's
Mhm.
happening in the present moment with something that happened in the past that you
Mhm.
experienced with a lot of emotional intensity. And
Mhm.
so what happens is that emotion gets stuck, that charge gets stuck in our nervous system. And so my approach goes in and it blows charge on that event so that you're not a living, breathing reaction to it. You're no longer triggered. And it can be very intense events. I mean, I've seen everything in my business, right? And as Black women, we go through so many intensely negatively charged situations. That's why we're always triggered out here in these streets. That's why we
and
act
Black
the way we
women
do,
were
because
constantly triggered.
right,
We're carrying so much trauma and
right,
anger, and it manifests in one way or another. We're still able to kind of operate enough to survive, most of us. Like, we're still
right,
able to go to work, but it comes out in our relationships. It comes out with meanness to other Black women. It can come out with snapping at our children, come out as I don't know, it could be self-destructive behaviors. It comes out. It doesn't, it's like you stuff it, it's like whack-a-mole. Like, you push it
yeah.
down, just
And the deeper thing that people don't realize, and the reason that I say that Black women specifically, I think we carry so much natural ability and juice and power that what we don't realize is not only that just that we react in the moment, what we also do is all of that stuck energy could be used as fuel, as energetic fuel to direct at the target of our goals and our dreams. Right? In other words, when that gets freed, what I did with you, CK, is I brought you to a space of neutrality, right? Instead of being reactive and
yes.
polarized, you're now like neutral.
I
And
know.
so
Can
now,
you guys see it? I know you can see it. I feel it because I know. I mean, it's like I know you guys sense the energy of just. I
yep,
mean, I can't say, like, I hate using unbothered, because when people say they're unbothered,
right,
and they tend to display the opposite of being unbothered. So I'm not gonna
right,
say I'm unbothered,
right.
but the energy, Veronica, it's just, I don't care.
Yeah, no. So when you're neutral, you can navigate high stakes situation. You can navigate the high wire act, public life, personal existence, just everything much more peacefully and calmly. And I can get at this in like a session or two tops. So that's what I did with you. And then all of a sudden you were like, it's gone.
Yeah,
It's gone.
literally gone, to the point where it almost scared me that I detached almost too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean when I say that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, I really don't care. It
Right,
was like, you guys, it would have been tens of thousands, hundreds of hours of therapy to
right,
get me to the point where I am right now, with having so much peace with what people believe about me, what people want to believe, what people say. It's just a feeling of being so free, like,
yeah,
just to where I can come back here and do what I did better, because you don't feel that energy of, please like me, please
right.
believe me,
How am I
please
doing?
don't be,
How am I doing?
I'm not
Right.
like those people, what people say, like, just that energy is gone. People are
Yeah.
asking for your contact information. And I
Yeah.
wanted to say
Yeah.
this really quickly too,
Yeah.
you guys, so you know that during all of that chaos, I started the Pink Pill Underground. Some of you guys may be in there, some of you may not. But Veronica regularly does sessions in the Pink Pill Underground. So, but
Yes.
she also has her own thing, but she
Yep.
also graces us with phenomenal events that really help to move the needle. So I'm gonna go ahead, Veronica, you can keep talking. I'm gonna go ahead and post the link
Yeah.
to the new application for the Pink Pill Underground. This
Perfect.
is for going into 2024. This is a whole new application. The way that it works is that you have to apply. I put it in there. You have to apply. You have to be contacted by me after I review it. You have to sign an NDA, and that's helped out a lot, right, Veronica? We don't
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
tell people what the underground is like. We don't have drama. We're not talking about what the F Black men did today.
Right.
Like,
Right.
explain to them as both a participant and an honored member like how
Yes.
amazing it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I when I came on the Clubhouse, I just kind of people kept saying, "Come on, Clubhouse, come on, Clubhouse," and I was like, "Okay," because I like to talk smack and talk some fairly good smack, and so I got over there, and then I started running with like KSC, Almaz, you, right, and then I was like, "Wow, there's a lot going on here," and then as you all began to talk about how it was, you talked earlier about how the original copies, right? The originators, the pioneers always have battle scars. Like I have
Yes.
that being founder of Black Coaches, huge battle scars, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when it starts to trickle down into the zeitgeist, what happens is that people take bits of what they heard and run with it and then duplicate
Mm-hmm.
it, and then it always sort of deteriorates, right?
Yes.
So
It's
as
like
that as
that
that
game. It's like that game of like there's a line like you did it in elementary school where you tell a person something and then they have to tell the person and tell the person. And by the
right,
time it gets down the line, it's a totally sometimes different message.
right, because distortion can happen in iteration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just saw like it got real weird. Like I was supporting Rosa with Black Femicide, and then that got real wonky. So
That was so crazy.
it got
That was so
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say compared to that, like it's sacred space, right? And so I think where Black women can come and tell the truth about their lived experience without prying eyes, because unfortunately, a lot of people, despite what they say, they're checking for Black women. And the more
Mm-hmm.
high powered and the more unbothered and more neutral you are, the more they're checking for you. Because to your point, Pink, peace is magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
Like equilibrium is actually magnetic. We think that running around in states of polarity, like polarized charge, like I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm cute, I'm not, I'm right, I'm smart,
Mm-hmm.
I'm dumb, right? We think that running around in all these emotional states of polarity is where it is. Like, let me just go hard, right? But really coming into peace and neutrality, trigger free, is really where it is, because that is the space of creation. That's where you can create from. And so I find that your space is like the women are righteous, they're about their business, and they mean it.
Veronica,
Like yeah,
Veronica,
yeah.
you're actually
Created through my ball.
Oh goodness. We have a troll. Well, I guess it's Saturday night and you don't have anything better to
So
do.
what you don't get in the Pink Pill Underground is
I
that.
mean, again, naps are really nice and touching grass
Right,
is really nice and eating well
right.
and
You
drinking
don't
water
get
is really
that.
nice. That's my response. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going, Veronica.
No, so you don't get that. So I'm so appreciative of what, because I think anytime you build a community that's righteous, it takes a lot. And so I really salute you for doing that and staying the course, right? And serving Black women in the way that you do. I heard a lot of the earlier stories, like there's so many highs and lows that you go through as a pioneer. Like
Mm-hmm.
to stay the course is no small feat. So
Yes.
stay the course. So thank you
Yeah.
for staying the course.
I mean, but now because of the work that you and I did, I
Mm-hmm.
can and not fall apart. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
just, not like, okay, there's going to be people who are going to distort what I'm trying to say. There's going to be people who are going to lie about what I'm doing. People are going to lie on me. And it just, if I take all of that in, like this is what they want to just beat me to a pulp and make me go away. And I did go away. And also part of the healing, Veronica, was, and this was separate from you, was that people were making it seem like I was the problem. And I really internalized that I really must be the problem. Like
Right.
I just, it was really, really getting to me. But
Right.
when I got off and saw all the chaos, all of the fighting, the doxing, the accusations, I was like, wow. It's kind of like in the Black community, how you say, I feel like this is wrong. No, it's you. There's nothing wrong with us. It's you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's
Right.
like you, and then you find out that there's so many other people who have the same story as you. And you're like, wow, it wasn't me. Like it wasn't, like, you mean to tell me that wasn't, like, we still have so much. It's like whack-a-mole. Again, the trauma, going back to what it is that you do. There's so much still trauma in the way that we relate to each other that we haven't worked through. And
Yes.
it comes out sometimes as such nastiness and meanness. And it's not to say that I'm perfect. I'm not. And if you want me to be perfect, forget it. It's not going to happen. I'll probably, say something that you don't like. I may misspeak. It's going to happen. I'm not your perfect leader. And I refuse to be your perfect leader. Like, you can stuff it with your perfect leader. None of you are perfect leaders. I've seen you for the past 3 years. None of you are perfect. Many of you have fallen on your faces. So that was really healing for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. And I think that, people, I've been in the healing game for 23 years. So I've seen the zeitgeist move from like, no consciousness about needing coaching or therapy to now people have awareness of it, right? And now people have awareness of trauma. I've sort of been future pacing this whole thing with really cracking the code on how do you heal trauma in a couple of sessions. And I mean deep trauma. I've cured people of suicidal ideation, needing electroshock therapy, needing in-house patient. I mean, I've cured the darkest things you can think of. I've kind of healed it. And so that's what time it is. The other thing, to your point about like coming into environments and going, this isn't normal, right? The other thing that I just added, I just went through like 400 hours worth of training with this guy, Garrett White. And he's trained 55,000 men, some of them Black, but not all, a handful. And he's licensing his content to me. And it's really powerful to be in an environment where you get to see men that are telling the truth and doing the work. His models, tell the truth, do the work. And so as I step into that space, in this training, I've been really gratified to just see like a model of, they're not perfect men, but they're telling the truth and they're doing the work. And I'm licensing his stuff to integrate into my stuff. So I'm looking forward to really like helping people leap. Because once we unlock all that energy that's stuck in all that anger and rage and frustration and grief and sadness, all that stuff, when it becomes clarified, it becomes fuel that you can direct at the target of your goals. And so that's how Black women can leap really fast.
So Veronica, since it won't allow you for you to put links in the chat, where can they find you?
Yeah, so if you go to www.awakenwomanwarrior.com, awakenwomanwarrior.com. That's sort of the thing that I just released. And then if that's a little rich for right now in terms of the investment, then blackmastery.com.
Okay, so I'm going to do, wait, hold on. I'm going to do awakenwarrior.com. And then what would you say the other one was?
www.blackmastery.com. It's the world's first culturally competent hypnosis program.
Yeah, so she uses NLP, hypnosis, soul
synthesis.
Yeah. Like all of it. And like, again, it seemed so woo to me at the time, but
it's practical though. It's practical though, isn't it? It's practical.
I don't know how it worked, but it worked.
Yeah.
And you guys can see the change in me. It actually did work. And that's why I wanted to give you the space to do it. So thank you, Veronica.
Thank you so much. Thank you, tail wagging. And you look radiant as per usual. Gonna do my water ritual tomorrow. So yeah.
Yes. And I've got that package going to your friend on Monday.
Great. Thank you.
You'll have it by Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right. So you guys, I want to finish up what I was showing you on ChatGPT and what it said about divestment in the early days, what it was about. This is really, really important because these are actually the elements of what you should be doing as a Black woman who wants to go on the path to doing what serves her and leaving behind what doesn't. And here's the other one. Number 5 was mainstream feminism critique. Like I said, it was mainstream feminism. I will never forget that. I will never forgive that. That came and forced to criticize No Wedding, No Womb. These are the women who I found out were married, had legitimate children, their husbands were in the home, and they were living the lives that Black women, so many Black women wanted for themselves. So many Black women wanting to and desiring and just not being able to achieve it because of what was going on in the culture and what still is going on in the culture. And so number 5, some BWE bloggers critiqued mainstream feminism, raise his hand, for not always addressing the unique challenges faced by Black women. Divestment in its context meant distancing from feminist spaces that did not consider intersectionality. And that goes back to Bell Hooks, who really started that. It wasn't a term for it. I think it was another author that came later that used intersectionality. But if you've read Bell Hooks, Ain't I a Woman, and we did the complete book study of Bell Hooks in a private group, you can see this stuff that she was publishing way back in 1981. We're still going through. It hasn't changed. This is in 1981. 1981, I was what, 7, 8 years old when she wrote that book. We're still experiencing it. It's still the same. That's why you have to, if you, the fighting is futile. Let the people who are fighting continue if they want to, but it's not getting any better. And I know it's sad, and I know that it can make you feel hopeless if you've been invested in this and wanting to see it. But I don't really think that if we were still having these discussions in 1981 and before that, maybe 1961, it's not going the right direction. The only thing that I can say is that Black women who have decided that I'm just going to go my own course, they're the ones that are making the change. They're the ones that are like, you know what, this having babies out of wedlock with no partner and no husband is for the birds. I'm not going to do it. And you can see that because it's going in the right direction. It was at 73%. And at one point, 80% of college educated Black women, because it's not a class issue. It goes beyond socioeconomic strata in our community. 80% of first-time college educated Black mothers had a child out of wedlock, their first child out of wedlock. I'm raising my hand because I was one of those women. 80%. So I love that it's going in the right direction. And I love that Black women are choosing partners based on not racial loyalty, but what works best for them, despite the shaming that continues to happen, despite the name calling, because their lives are so fabulous because they chose themselves and they chose men who loved them regardless of race. They don't give a shit. They're so happy, they don't care. They don't care what we say. They don't care what you guys say. I don't care what you guys say. It's nice over here. I'm good over here. So there's that. The next one is financial independence. Divestment included a focus on financial independence and entrepreneurship. Bloggers encourage Black women to divest from economic dependence and work towards financial self-sufficiency. I'm just waiting for the bullet point that said divestment meant calling Black men apes, gorillas, and bullet bags. I'm not seeing it here. We'll keep going. Cultural representation. Divestment was linked to advocating for better representation of Black women in media, entertainment, and various fields. We talked about that earlier with trying to fight against these negative images that were continued to be perpetuated. And oftentimes the those images being perpetuated by members of our own community, like, you know, where members of our own community are perpetuating these harmful stereotypes for their own women, it to the point where it's just disgusting. Like, now we see other voices like Shonda Rhimes and Issa Rae. Those are, I love that there's being progress in that way. We still got a long way to go, but there's progress, and it's not, and they're showing quirky Black women. They're showing non-ratchet behavior and displaying it. They're showing more cerebral side. They're showing the fullness and facets of Black womanhood, and not just one stereotype. And I love it. I love to see it. Cultural expectations. Early BWE bloggers encouraged divesting from societal expectations that limited the potential of Black women. This could include challenging expectations around family structures, career choices, and life trajectories. And I would also say around relationships, around romantic relationships. Personal empowerment. Overall, divestment was a call to prioritize personal empowerment. It involved making conscious choices that aligned with one's goals, values, and a vision of a more empowering and fulfilling life. In essence, divestment, as promoted by early BWE bloggers, was about reclaiming agency and redirecting energy towards aspects of life that fostered growth, self-love, and empowerment for Black women. It was a strategic and intentional process of disengagement from elements that hindered progress and embracing those that contributed positively towards personal development and well-being. So I will say to you with this, now that we've gone over what early BWE and divestment was, let me ask you this question. And I'm asking this question in the chat. Is it the list that I put that ChatGPT put together that we've been talking about for, I don't know, over an hour now? Do you see it reflected in the conversations that are happening with people who claim to be divested? Do you see these elements in this way, the fullness of it? If you do, follow those people, because those people are actually honoring the legacy of the first people that were brave enough to do it. The first people that were brave enough to stick their necks out and ask those questions. If you can find them online, so you don't even have to just follow me. If you can find them online, follow those people. And I want to also give you guys a lead. First I want to show you guys something. Just as an FYI, I started a blog back in 2010 called Beyond Black and White. And it was very much focused on the original elements of BWE. I haven't posted anything in years. I've kept it up, and I pay for it to stay up so that you guys can have it for prosperity. But I'm gonna go through the subject lines of these topics, and you can see this is what we were talking about. Look at this. When it comes to my survival, I don't care who I offend. Supporting Black Lives Matter will get Black women get God. How Black women can divest from Black Lives Matter movement. A love story of this woman, Tammy and Corey. Gun safety 101, firearms 101, pink pill for college. Let's talk about, this is BWE. This is divestment. Where are the what the fuck did Black men do today stories? This is what we talked about. And if you want to see what it was back then, the URL is beyondblackwhite.com. I've been doing this for going on 14 years. There's so much content that you guys can delve into from this blog. It's been here the whole time. And you can see what I'm about. You can see the things that we talked about. So there's that. And finally, I want to give somebody some favor. This woman was around at the beginning and she wrote a book. And I remembered that she wrote a book, but I forgot until I remember it again. I think I'm going to do a deep dive into BWE as a video. It's going to probably take a month to do, but I think it's important to do it just as instruction, just so it's out there for prosperity, for legacy, because I really am, it's very heartbreaking that what the original intentions for BWE and divestment has been so bastardized, that has been so corrupted. And there's no strategy. It's just anger and hatred and, you know, a few little bits of advice. Get out of the neighborhood, stop dating Black men, hashtag all Black men, you know, now let's get back to, you know, get your weight right, get your money right. Now let's go back to talking about what the fuck did Black men do today, right? It's just, yeah, the focus is still on the men. But I want to show you guys something really quick. And I believe if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get this for free. And I want to show you guys this, if you guys can see this. First Steps to Personal Empowerment. And it's really kind of heartbreaking that there's only 4 ratings on it. And this was such an important book, but I want to read to you guys the first couple pages so you can understand this is what time we were on back in the day. This is what we were thinking about in the day. And if this is you and this is something that you identify with, I think you can download it for free. And I think it might be very helpful for you. This is called First Steps to Personal Empowerment. It was published back in 2012. Here's what it says. I was moved to write this book because I have for many years identified that a huge swath, her name is Halima Anderson. She was really big in BWE. You guys should just look up Halima Anderson, BWE on Google. And I think her blog is definitely still up. I was moved to write this book because I have for many years identified that a huge swath of Black women's lives shortchanged lives as a result of trying to serve their community. While this objective might seem noble enough, even a needed effort given the dire state of the Black community today, Black women are doing it all at great personal expense. They are also working within terms and conditions guaranteed to yield little for both themselves and the community they are hoping to rescue. For an example, the devaluation of Black women within the Black group itself has led to them bearing the full burden of race uplift. But Black women doing it alone guarantees that the project will fail. This is why I say there's not much hope for it, because we're doing it essentially alone. The motivation seems to be all on us. The frustration and disillusionment that results as they pour blood, sweat, and tears into the Black uplift effort only to see little or no improvement is immense, and that frustration is now evident among the masses of Black women. Very few, however, reflect on the fact that they have been given parameters that make goals unattainable. Instead, they grow progressively bitter at what they see as further proof of the wider society's, read white society's, continued campaign to decimate the Black group. In addition to this, the lifestyle that many Black women feel obliged to adopt to be of service of their people is one full of devaluation, and one which has a narrow and limited range, and it has negative consequences in terms of them achieving their personal dreams and life's milestone like marriage and children. Indeed, trying to stick to a race service lifestyle is at the root of many of the personal trials and travails that the modern Black woman goes through on the personal front. We will discuss how and why in this case. This book explores the race service lifestyle, looking at how Black women living within its premise are negatively impacted. And so I have bestowed this lifestyle with a name, race handmaiden living, or handmaidenism for short. Sound familiar? Many Black women do believe that if the race is to make it, this kind of race-devoted life, which places restrictions on their social range as well as makes huge demands on their time, energy, and personal resources, is the only way. I want to pause for a second, stop the show. What did ChatGPT say? What is this saying? ChatGPT has divestment better than actual divestors. Yes, it was a dig. Get mad, I don't care. On the whole, many Black women grow up immersed in a handmaiden lifestyle, and many never get a chance to have an overview of what it means, especially for them on a personal level, and thus take the option of rejecting the terms of this devaluation-based existence. Others are coerced into it or made to feel that it is wrong for them not willingly take up huge burdens for their people. Black women then arrive at an age when it dawns on them that they could have lived a more fulfilled and easier existence if they hadn't carried community on their backs. And there is deep regret. This is the essence of why you see so much anger, I believe. And the author also believed it. So they've dedicated all this time and find out that it's a big lie. And years have passed. They've wasted years doing this. And then when they wake up, they're furious, as they should be. And even early BWE bloggers could understand this. We all understand the anger. We understand where it's fueled from. However, let's go on. I want to state here that it doesn't necessarily occur to Black women that they are living as race handmaidens. They simply trace out a life bound by certain principles and social instructions of what to do or what not to do. They make the choices allowed them within the restrictions of the race service doctrine and by Black societal pressures. But whatever term we give to this way of life, it leaves Black women shortchanged on every level. With this book, I hope to provide the needed opportunity for Black women to take a good look at the philosophy underpinning their lifestyle and to lay bare some of the hidden implications of the life path they are on, so they can see if it is a way of being that they really want or would prefer. I consider this book as firstly one giving Black women fair warning to the end point of a particular life course. This is a warning. The next aim is to highlight something many Black women do not seem to even consider or understand, and that is that many of the sacrifices they make to elevate their people, backbreaking arduous sacrifices at that, will prove futile efforts in the long run because other critical factors necessary to achieve and maintain the desired goals are not in place. Hence, what is the point of living in a way that doesn't pay on a personal or group level? This book is based upon BWE principles that takes a BWE approach to Black women's issues. BWE stands for Black Women Empowerment. Now, if you haven't heard of BWE and what it works to achieve, I will briefly introduce you to its aims here and give links for reading further on. A group of Black women have over the years, this is it, you guys, this is it. This is history. This is in ink. This is in virtual ink. This is where it began, okay? A group of Black women have over the years come together out of their deep and sincere desire to see Black women have fulfilled and winning lives, lives that deliver more than what we generally deemed the lot of Black women, limited, restricted, all about servitude, and fitting with some of the worst stereotypes which are held as what being a Black woman is all about. They realized that it wasn't just wider racism blighting Black women's lives as is generally held, but there were burdens placed upon the Black women closer to home and from their immediate community that drains her and complicates her life. They realized that racial misogyny, for instance, is at work in Black men who increasingly target Black women for public pillory and humiliation, and who are often to be seen following through their disdain with harmful actions, including violence, leading to widespread emotional and physical damage to masses of Black women. These women figured out that Black men have set themselves against Black women. BWE as a philosophy is about releasing Black women from race servitude and from a devaluation cycle and a limited life and social range imposed by the belief system. BWE is about Black women living for themselves for once. It is called First Steps to Personal Empowerment by Halima Anderson, and it is my personal hope and goal that those 4 ratings will be times 40, times 100. She deserves it. Give the people who did the work the originals, not people who claim to have started this or were doing this the whole time. Probably a lot of them didn't even know who Halima was. Probably didn't see any of her work. Probably didn't do any of the, just freaking put it in chat GPT. Chat GPT knows more about BWE and divestment than what I'm seeing on the internet right now. Like y'all. So there it is, you guys. There it is. That's what we were fighting for. And again, I wasn't original, but I became in the circle of the originals because they started around 2008, 2009, and I came in around 2010. But this is what it is about. This is what we wanted for you. We wanted for you to have freedom in relationships. We wanted to attack the community dynamics that held us back. We wanted you to do better in terms of educational and career choices. We wanted you guys to start loving yourselves and seeing yourselves as valuable, and not just valuable to be a mule and a workhorse. We criticized mainstream feminism for perpetuating things that were destructive within our community. And just as an aside, it was mainstream feminism that sided with rappers back in the day in the 90s when they went up. I don't know if you guys remember this, but rap groups like NWA, and I think it was 2 Live Crew, like it was just the most ratchet guys. They went up in front of Congress because Congress, a group of white men, wanted these Black men to answer for these horrendous lyrics. And the Black men fought for the right to call you a bitch and a hoe and a thought pocket and all of these things that you hear. They went up in front of Congress to do that, to fight, not to fight for us, not to fight for the community, but to fight for destructive messages to be monetized and put to music and monetized globally. That's what happened. And we tried and we lost, but we tried and tried and tried. And so now here's what you have. And if you can see where it came from, maybe we can try again, but you have to maybe get to the fundamentals of it with the people who actually did the work. We wanted you to be financially independent. We wanted better cultural representation. We wanted our culture to not have outrageous expectations for what Black women were supposed to do for them. And it was ultimately about your own personal empowerment. Like, that's what it was about. It wasn't about, we were critical of Black men, yes. We are critical of them, yes. But it wasn't about hating them. It was about disengaging from the destructive elements that unfortunately included what the men were doing to us. But it wasn't about returning hurt for hurt, because that means you're still invested by definition. And so I will close with this. Are you ready to truly divest? And that's a question you're going to have to answer for yourself. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for bearing with me and my technical difficulties at the beginning. And I hope that this was helpful for you. I'm planning on coming back to YouTube more frequently to bring back, hopefully, some sanity into the conversations. So I would appreciate if you would subscribe. I know that there are people who have subscribed, and because my YouTube channel lapsed for so long, YouTube for some reason will unsubscribe people without their knowledge. So you can see on here if you're subscribed or not. If you are subscribed, or if you're not subscribed and you've been in the past, or if you're new and if you like this content, those are the foundations and cornerstones of things that I'm going to be talking about more on this channel. It's not going to be the biggest channel. I'm not going to have the biggest following, and I don't care. I don't care, because it's not about who can get the most clout, the clicks and views, who can start the drama, who can, go after. It's not going to be that. So if you're ready for intelligent conversations about surrounding this to come back, then I would appreciate your subscription. All right. So you guys, thank you so much for joining, and you'll be seeing some videos from me again soon.